Hello, we're going to look at two different ways to transfer your full page sketch onto the good quality Bristol paper. You can hear it, right? This paper is thicker, much thicker than your sketchbook paper. It's going to handle colored pencils and Sharpies in a nicer manner. It's going to make them blend and be smoother in terms of the colored pencils. And if you have really good marker control, which we will talk more about, then this paper is going to give you just nice, clean, smooth lines without as much drag on your actual paper. So I'm switching over to the document camera here, and you can see this is my full drawing. It's upside down. Let's flip you around. There, that's better. So now I have, this is my drawing paper, and I'm going to show you two different transfer techniques. So one of them is going to be using a light table, and the other one is actually going to be something called graphite transfer, which is just a really fancy way of saying scribble all over the back with some pencil and then trace it. So let's talk about the first technique. The first technique, I am going to trace it while it's face up. I'm going to turn on my light table, which this is my Bristol. As I set my Bristol down, you can see it is magically there. For this one, you definitely want to put a little piece of tape just at the top. I personally like to do 2 pieces at the top, make sure that it's centered where you want it. And then I'd like to do 2 pieces at the top. This allows me to trace and then lift, and I can check my tracing without the distraction of the original design showing through. So the absolute most important thing is we want to be able to erase 100% of our pencil marks on here. So if you notice, I have this like ridiculously long piece of graphite as my pencil point. What's that going to force me to do? What's going to happen if I press hard? It's going to break, right? So this is going to allow me to trace a really light line, and if I start to forget about that pressure, it's going to break my pencil point. So I am going to start here, and we've talked in class about how our body naturally makes curves away from us. So I could trace this way, or I can literally turn my drawing here. And what can you use as a light table? Obviously, I have an actual little light table, but I could use a window. I have, although I don't necessarily recommend it, I have seen students go very, very lightly and trace on their monitor of their Chromebook. Again, you notice I'm not even holding it like a normal pencil. I've got this almost like I'm supporting the pencil and dragging it across the paper, or I could even go overhanded and go really gentle this way, whichever way you feel like you have more muscle control. And these lines may not come out perfect, so again, you want to keep them light so you can adjust them later. So one of the things I can do to check and see if I've missed anything, and I did, I missed a spot on purpose. So let's see if I have that tape there. One of the things I can do is just lift it away from it, and then I can very easily tell right here in the middle of the R, I missed tracing the rest of that kind of D-shaped bubble in there. Is there anything else I missed? If I did, it wasn't on purpose. I'm not seeing it. Okay. So that is the first step in tracing it. So now that I have it traced, I want to go in and do my refining. And by refining, what I mean is all of these lines look really, really scratchy. So if I have straight lines, I want to use a straight edge and smooth them out. If I have curved lines, I just want to smooth them by arching away from me. So I'm going to take a ruler, and I'm going to lightly erase this line and go back over it. And it should be no problem to erase the pencil because you should have had a very light hand. Do not use a mechanical pencil for this. Mechanical pencils are great for really pressing in clean, thin lines, and we don't want to press in on here, because if we press in on this paper, we are not going to be able to erase it, and we're going to move some of those lines, and if when you erase it, it's actually engraved and indented, you can't get rid of it, and you have that spot there forever. Now I'm going to show you graphite transfer. So for graphite transfer, what you need to have is a nice solid Sharpie on like a thin piece of paper, so when you flip it over, you can still see your design. And you're going to take and you're just going to scribble the heck out of the back and just make a big old mess out of everywhere that you see lines. So right here, we know that's thick. Whoop, there's pressing too hard on my pencil, and I just snapped it. Give me a second. Okay. Pencil's back. I don't have quite the long point on it this time. And I'm using it, you see I'm holding it overhanded, and I am just going over the back of it anywhere that I see lines. So you don't have to color the whole back of your paper, you just have to cover all of your Sharpie. You don't have to be neat, you don't have to worry about pencil direction. We are just trying to cover all the lines with graphite. And now I have the back all scribbled. Everywhere that there's Sharpie, there's pencil. So it is just a big old mess. And it's a nice soft pencil. You can see how with a mechanical pencil, this would take forever. I wouldn't get thick pencil lines like this. And I'm going to flip it over. And this time I'm going to put it on the front and make sure that it's on the paper exactly where you want your design. And again, 2 little pieces of tape up near the top. And then you can just start to trace it. And you want a medium pressure with this because you have this paper buffering your pencil point. And I'm going to lift it and do a little check. You'll see how the transfer works. So now all the pencil that was on the back should be transferring onto this paper. Again, you don't want a hard pressure. We don't want to indent this. We want it just to transfer, so now we can go in and really just smooth out our lines. And that's the bell. So I can erase this and it will go away. And then I can draw it back in where I want it. Okay. So that's called graphite transfer, just a really fancy way of saying use your pencil and transfer this to here.